we are going to talk today about the basics of nutrition. One of the things that will give us success in getting people to understand God's ways according to His guidance is to teach them about how our body works. So don't forget, you have to learn how the body works so you can teach people. It is always better when you can tell them how the body works, and then they will understand, and then they can see why the Lord says this or says that. Inspiration tells us the Lord has given us instruction. We should learn to teach physiology. That's why every morning in my worship time with my family, my children, I have an anatomy and physiology class. Part of the worship related to the scripture that we read for the week. In the evening, the same thing. So they can learn anatomy, physiology, treatment, and everything. Herbs and everything. In the basics of physiology, we need to know how basics of nutrition, we need to know how our body works in terms of how we do the digestion, absorption, everything. So what we need to know is how the body works in the digestion. For that, we need to remember what are the nutrients that we eat and how we get it. What do we eat in our food is basically categorized into groups. The macronutrients and the micronutrients. The macronutrients because they are bigger, and the micronutrients because they are smaller. In the group of the macronutrients, we have three. Which are those? Carbohydrates. Give me an example of carbohydrate. Camote, rice, okay? Now, in the category of the lipids or fats, we have cashews, coconut, all these things, right? In the category of proteins, then we have beans, yes, the same nuts have a lot of protein and some other things. If you remember what we talk about osteoporosis presentation, you know now that many things in the plant kingdom also have protein. How much protein does 1 cup of rice has? 9 grams. So you know that even rice has protein. Well, everything is different. For example, an apple will not have 9 grams. One apple will give you 0.36 grams, which is less than what a cup of rice will give you. You see the difference? But nevertheless, apple still has protein. Less amount, but it has protein. In terms of the carbohydrates in the macromolecules, then the question is, what is made of? It's made of carbon, made of hydrogen and oxygen, CHO. What is carbohydrate used for in your body? As a fuel, it will give you energy. It's converted basically in glucose, and it will give you the energy you need. Is it useful for something else? Yes, carbohydrates is used also as a built-up molecule. For example, if you study the cell, every cell of your body will have some kind of receptors in the outer part of it. Some of these receptors may be combined with a molecule that is sugar-based, like glucose, that will give some functions to the cell. Therefore, you can use carbohydrates for building up materials in your body. You see that? Or even if you talk about the type of blood and so on, there are some receptors, molecules that are based on carbohydrates, sugars. Can it be used for storing? Well, let's say that you ate not 1 cup of rice, but 10 cups of rice today. Do you need them? Maybe not. And what are you going to do with the rest? Well. Anyhow, that's what carbohydrate is. Now, what about lipids, fats? What are they for? Does they give you energy? Yes. If you study the grams of energy, the kilocalories that you can get from each one of them, you will find that actually fat is the one that will give you more energy. 1 gram of fats will give you, yes, that's the one. 1 gram of, we just have to go to the beginning. Can you get it to the beginning? Thank you. 1 gram of carbohydrate will give you 4 calories. 1 gram of protein will give you 4 calories too. But 1 gram of fat will give you 9 calories. So you see the energetic value is higher. That's why people say don't eat too much fat. And that's why the recommendation of the Lord in the inspiration that your fat amount should not be more than 1/6 of your plate. Look for it in the Spirit of Prophecy, you will find it. Now the question will be, what is fat made of? Is it made of carbohydrates? Is it made of carbons? It is. It's made up of carbon. Is it made up of hydrogen? Yes. Now that I'm here, I'm going to switch back to carbohydrates so we can continue with the steps. Let's go back to carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, they are made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Is good for energy, good for construction, good for storage. Where is it digested? Where is the digestion of the carbohydrates? The digestion is basically in the mouth, right there at the top, because in the saliva we have amylase, which is to digest carbohydrates, the sugars. And it's not done totally there. Some of the carbohydrates are going to be digested where? In your duodenum. In your duodenum. The duodenum, remember, your small intestine is divided in 3 portions. Your small intestine will be divided in 3. The first portion is called duodenum. Then it goes into the jejunum, and then the ileum, which is the third part. From the 3, duodenum is the digestive section of the intestine, and the jejunum, the second part, is the one that do the absorption. So everything in the digestion will be done before the jejunum. Okay? So that's in the carbohydrates. Now the next one will be the lipids or the fats. The fats have carbon, the fats have hydrogen, and the fats have oxygen. Isn't the same components of the carbohydrates? Yes, the only difference is that the fats have what? Different in the composition of the unions of the hydrogen with the other elements. If you study more, then you can understand why, but that's not the point right now. The point is that it's the same, and the functions of it is good for energy. Yes, you can have a lot of energy. It's the one that has more energy of the 3. Of the 3 macromolecules, is the one that has more energy. Can you use it for construction? Yes, you can use it for construction because every cell of your body has fat. Every cell of your body has cholesterol in the membrane. In the body you can have estrogen for the females. Does that has anything to do with fat? Yes, it has a part of fats in the molecule. What about testosterone in men? Yes, that also has some kind of fat in it. So you use fat for building something. What about vitamin D3? The one that you make in your skin, the one that we presented, remember, is based on cholesterol. The cholesterol in your blood is hit by the sun and is transformed into several molecules that will give you the vitamin D3. So you can use the lipids or the fats for construction. Now the question is, can you store them? If you eat too much fat, can you store that? Yes, that's obvious, right? All right, that's not a question. Then the question is, what about digestion? How is it digested? Where is it digested? Can you digest lipids in your mouth? No, you don't really have digestion of the lipids or fats in your mouth. Where is it? In your stomach? No, it's in the duodenum. That is the only place where you basically have the digestion of the fats. Now, it is done from the bile that is produced in the liver, that is stored in the gallbladder, and from the enzymes, lipase, that comes from the pancreas. So pancreas, liver, quotes, because it's the one that makes it, the bile, but the gallbladder is the one that squeezes it out because it's stored in the gallbladder. Those two then will work in the digestion of the fats in the duodenum. You see? Proteins. Proteins are made of what? Proteins are made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Looks like the same, right? But there is a difference with the proteins. The protein has nitrogen. All right, that's the difference. The other two are very similar. This one is a little different. Protein has nitrogen. Now the question will be, can you use it for energy? Yes, you can use proteins for energy. If your body doesn't have glucose from carbohydrates, if you don't have glucose from even fats, because your body can make glucose from fat, if you don't have either of those, you will be forced to get your glucose, your energy, your gasoline type from proteins. All right? So you can use it for energy. Can you use it for construction? I think that's obvious. Everybody knows that muscles come from protein, right? You can use proteins to make your muscles, even your bones, because there is a mesh of protein that is used to make the bones. Just like in a house or in a street, they put some bars to hold the concrete. The same mesh, that idea that we have in those, it is also in the bones. You have a protein base and then you put the calcium into it. So you can use proteins for construction, even the lipoproteins. When we talk about the cholesterol, you see people talk about the LDL, the HDL, right? All these are protein based. So you can use proteins for other things, not only muscle, right? The question then comes, can you store proteins? Never. You don't store proteins. Why is the reason? Why not? Proteins have, what is the difference? Nitrogen. Nitrogen is toxic. Do you want some toxicity in your body? No. When the nitrogen is free, then it will be toxic. You don't want toxicity in your body. Your body has to get rid of the excess of protein if you eat too much. You cannot store it. Then now, linking vitamin D with the sun presentation. Now linking osteoporosis with the presentation of osteoporosis. Now you know why people that go into the Atkins diet have a kidney problem. Oh, I need to tell you. For you to flush that protein excess out, what do you use? Number one, your kidney. And number two, calcium. Where is it coming from? From your bones. So imagine you have no vitamin D to absorb your calcium that you are eating in your diet. You remember, it has to be more than 30, your vitamin D3 level, so you can absorb calcium in your diet. Let's say your vitamin D is 18, so you don't have enough to absorb calcium. Let's say that you are not eating even enough calcium. So where are you going to get the calcium for taking out all the 178 grams of protein that the Americans are eating every day? You see the point now? Then your kidney gets hurt and your calcium is flushed out. So you have to be careful. Nutrition, basics of nutrition. Now, where is it digested? It is digested mainly in the stomach, because the stomach has what? The hydrochloric acid, which is the only way we can digest proteins. The only other way will be heat, and God did not make us to heat up a stove in the stomach to digest the protein. Therefore, we use the stomach and the duodenum with some of the protease that come from the pancreas. So you have the hydrochloric acid in the stomach and the proteases that come from the pancreas. That's the digestion. Now I'm going to take you to another step in the junk food. Do you know what junk food is? Okay, this is the definition of junk food. Junk food is basically food that has low nutritional what? Nutritional value. And then typically produced in a form of packaged snack, needing little or no preparation. All right, now I'm going to take you to another definition so you can see a little more. The unhealthy fats tend to come from fast foods that are high in fat and low in nutrition. 2 or more fast food meals per week will not only increase obesity but also can double the risk of diabetes. Now, what is a nutrient? Well, we consider nutrient either one, macromolecule or micromolecules. You see that? We call it a nutrient. But when someone is talking about nutrition, that a food is nutritious, if I buy a hamburger that is very high in fat or potato chips or whatever, why do we say it's not nutritious? Because we measure nutrients for our body how? Okay, clearly, simple. You may have heard people say, give some vitamins and minerals to that child because he doesn't have energy. I think I confused you a little more. Well, the point is this. We talk sometimes in the way we talk and we don't know exactly how we talk. We just have to clarify a little bit the terms so we can understand. When you really talk about energy, the only thing that can give you energy is carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. You cannot get calories from a vitamin or a mineral, right? So therefore, energy cannot be gotten from vitamins and minerals. Clear? So when you say give him some minerals and vitamins so that person can have energy, is not true. But I'll explain to you later. So in reality are related. I'll explain you so you can understand. Then the other thing is that when we talk about nutrition, really what we are saying is it has vitamins and minerals. If something has carbohydrates, if something has protein, if something has fat, that does not make that food nutritious. What really makes that food nutritious is the presence of vitamins, minerals, and other elements that now we know, like flavonoids and so on. Okay? Therefore, when we have a junk food, we know that it's something that is lacking what? Don't say nutrients. Tell me which one. Vitamins and minerals mainly, and other things. Then you have to go to the study yourself and see if in your home you are eating things that have nutrients. Then you will tell me if you are eating junk food or not in your own table. This is what the problem is. We have been eating junk food in our tables many times. And we are not buying it in Jollibee. We are buying it for our homes. But because of our problem in the education of the habits of eating. And I'll show you how. Now the next concept I want you to see is this. Obesity, malnutrition, lack of proper nutrition caused by not having enough to eat, not eating enough of the right thing, or being unable to use the food that one does eat. Junk food generally refers to food that contributes lots of calories but little nutritional value. One problem with junk food is that there's low in satiation value. That is, people don't tend to feel as full when they eat them, which can lead to, have you seen someone overeating that does not feel satisfied? Now you're linking things together, right? if you don't have nutrients, which are those? When your food has no nutrition, which are those? Vitamins and minerals. There is no clicking of the brain that you are satisfied. That's why junk food make children slave of food. And who makes them slave? Parents. Because we don't know what we are doing. So we have to give our children what? Nutritional food. Food that has vitamins and minerals. The more you eat carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, but very low vitamins and minerals, the more you feel unsatisfied and the more you overeat. Now, knowing this, I'm going to explain you the story of the car. You know, in Africa, when people think about Africa, children and so on, they think about a, skin-on baby or child with a big belly, and they said he's malnourished. But when people think about the U.S. population or Mexicans that are now number 2 in obesity, they say they don't have problem with nutrition. But in reality, I can prove you in my own practice that many times my patients that were obese, they were the more malnourished patients. They don't have nutrients. They don't have vitamins and minerals. As a matter of fact, if you study diabetes, you will find that one of the problems with diabetes is that they have been lacking nutrients for so long that that's one of the factors that diabetes come up. Okay, the example of the car is that let's say I have a car one day and I have one tank of gasoline like any car has. But one day I said, I don't think I have enough gasoline with one tank. I want another tank, and I build another tank. Right? So I build another tank and I hook that into the car. I build another tank because I'm not satisfied with that. And I keep adding fuel, energy. What's that give you energy? Carbohydrates, lipids or fats, and proteins. So you fill up your body with all these. Of course, remember, proteins, you don't store it. Right? But from the carbohydrates and from the lipids, you have so much energy, you concentrate in eating carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, that you fill up your body with all this gasoline, you make yourself fat. But are you really putting the nutrients that you need? Now the point is this. Can you run a car with putting gasoline today? Imagine you buy a new car, you put gasoline, and you run the car and you go. The next day you do the same thing. Week after week you do the same thing. Do you ever change the oil? Do you ever put water in the radiator? Do you ever put grease in the engine? Do you ever check these things? How long can you drive a car that will never need all these changes? Now I'm going to put the example. Keep with the example. Let's say I finish putting tanks, but then remember your car has a battery. Tonight, I get your battery out. Voila. What happened tomorrow? Can you start? No. One day, when your vitamins and minerals are lacking so much, you cannot run that car. It doesn't matter how many, milligrams of fat you have in your body. If you don't have vitamins and minerals, then what happened? You cannot run the car. Nutrition should not be ever valued by the fat that a person has. It's valued about the nutrition that you have. So now, I am not going to tell you have to go and measure how much vitamins and minerals you have, because you will waste your money doing that. What I want to teach you today is the more you concentrate and the more you teach the children to appreciate the high dense nutrients food, the better it will be for your health and your family health. Do you understand that? Okay. Now I'm going to take you to the graphic of the concentration of nutrients in our food. Now pay attention. This comes from Dr. Furman's micronutrients scores. You see the first one in the list? What is the name? Raw leafy green vegetable. What is the percentage of nutrition? Alogbate. Alogbate is a very thin leaf. It doesn't have much carbohydrates. It doesn't have much fat in it. It doesn't have even much protein in it. Very, very low maybe, if I can really measure some. But it's very high in what? It's very high in vitamins and minerals. Now, you see the next nutrient percentage in the list. What is? Solid green vegetables, like broccoli and so on. What is the percentage? 97. Now, what is the next percentage that you have in the list? What's that number there? Oh, is that a big jump? That's a big jump. Now, what is that? That is even still vegetables. Look at that. Non-green, non-starchy vegetables. What is the next? Beans, 46. What is the next? Fresh fruits, 45. Starchy vegetables, 35, like cincamas and so on. Carrots. And what is the next? Whole grains like unpolished rice, 22% of nutrition. Raw nuts and seeds, 20. Fish, how much? 15. Fat-free dairy, 13. Wild fowl, eggs, so on. What about red meat? Whoa. Tell me that you eat mostly the things on the top. Then I will tell you that you are not malnourished. If you eat honey only, I can tell you you have no nutrition in your body. The problem here is this. The more we eat the refined things. Look at this. Look at the refined grains, white rice. What is the nutrition of white rice? 2%. I have a covenant, and you will never see me eating here in the Philippines white rice as a campaign. I will not accept it, not because it's a sin. It's not a sin. But because I want to let people know that it's not the best thing in the world. You are basically killing yourself slowly. Because the more nutrients you are lacking in your body, the more sick you will be, and the more I will see you at the end in the sick bed. And that's the truth. So let's try to start appreciating the nutrients in our food, that when you have a salad, when you have this, yes, they are not probably going to look appetizing for you. You have to make it palatable. You have to learn how to do it, because that's the key point. Make it palatable so you can use them, but that you concentrate more on those high nutrient concentration and less of the other one. Why? Because at the end, the idea is I'm going to pass this because I don't have time. Oh, I miss one slide. Well, at the end is this. You remember when we talk about the satisfaction? The more you put nutrients in your body, the more you feel satisfied. You can try. You can make it a test. I'll give you an example. Just one example. Get one day in your home and get alogbate, enough amount of leaf of alogbate raw. Wash it well and put it there with carrots and, let's say, beets. Just 3 elements. Don't have to be so complicated. Right? And then take 2 plates of it, big ones, and then make a dressing with cashews, onions, cebollas. Put it on it. You eat those 2 plates and tell me if you is 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and you still don't feel hungry. Why? Because it is concentrated in nutrients. Your brain will feel satisfied, and you don't have to overeat in the next meal. You understand where the devil has been trapping us over and over? The more you eat lack of nutrient food, the more you overeat in the next meal. But you will not eat salads more. You will eat more rice, more white rice, and then you get more unsatisfied, and then you hook again yourself to the next meal in overeating. And sickness builds up in our body over and over again. May the Lord help us that we can come out of the slavery of appetite. God bless you.